Good evening, brothers and sisters. I'd like to tell you a story of a courageous man, possibly one of the most courageous men in the Bible outside of Jesus. His name is Shamgar, and he is a very obscure character in the Old Testament book of Judges. He is only mentioned in two verses, Judges chapter 3, verse 31, and chapter 5, verse 6. To give you a little background information on the book of Judges, in Exodus, God and Moses delivered the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. God and Moses gave the Israelites the law. Moses set up a system of judges who would judge over the people according to God's law, much like our constitutional republic here in the United States. The Israelites didn't trust God, so God made them wander in the wilderness for 40 years until most of those who were delivered from Egypt had died. Out of 2 million that left Egypt, only Joshua and Caleb entered the promised land. Joshua led the Israelites into the promised land after Moses died. The Israelites were not able to drive all of the inhabitants of the land out of the land, so after Joshua and his contemporaries died, the children of Israel intermarried with the Canaanites and started worshiping their gods. And God delivered them, the Israelites, into the hands of their various adversaries until they repented. Then God would deliver them from their enemies. At one point, God delivered the Israelites into the hand of the Philistines. And in Judges chapter 3, verse 31, it says, "After him it was Shamgar, son of Amnath, who killed 600 men of the Philistines with an ox goad, and he delivered Israel." An ox goad is a pole between 6 and 10 feet in length with a spike on one end to prod the ox and a blade on the other to scrape the plowshare. Obviously, Shamgar was a farmer and not a soldier. So what can we learn from this story? Israel went whoring after strange gods. So has America. In America, our God is ourselves, our possessions, and our comfort. It's all about I, me, my. Hooray for me, and to hell with everyone else. I believe that most Americans would stand by silently while their friends and neighbors were loaded into buses or cattle cars and hauled off to re-education camps. Heck, we stand by silently while 65 million babies are sacrificed on the altar of convenience. We are not willing to do what it takes to preserve our republic for our posterity. We are saddling our children and our grandchildren with trillions of dollars of debt, and our God-given rights are infringed upon every day while we sit by and do nothing. America is like a spoiled little rich boy who never had to work for anything and therefore doesn't appreciate anything. His daddy buys him a Ferrari for graduation, and he proceeds to go out and get drunk and smash it into a telephone pole and then expects daddy to buy him another. If we love God we stand against tyranny, God will help us. Shamgar could have maybe taken down half a dozen Philistines on his own, but eventually he would have fatigued, or the Philistines would have surrounded him. Professional boxers and MMA fighters in the latter rounds start dropping their guards, and their techniques get sloppy because their muscles start to fatigue. These guys have elite trainers, strength and conditioning coaches, and strict diets, and they get to rest and recover between rounds. Shamgar didn't have such luxuries. There had to be divine intervention. It will probably cost us something if we stand up to tyranny, but it will cost us everything if we don't, and our children and grandchildren will bear the cost. We are forging the chains of our children and grandchildren. We are heading into Memorial Day weekend, where we remember the men and women who died wearing the uniform of the United States military. When we stand down to tyranny, we dishonor their sacrifice. John Adams, our second president, said, "Posterity, you will never know how much it costs the present generation to preserve your freedom." I hope that you will make good use of it, because if you do not, I shall repent in heaven that I ever took half the pains to preserve it. I know that this message was harsh, but I love God, I love my country, and I love my fellow man. God bless you all.